Hello,
Good
everyone.
morning.
How is everyone? Great, terrific, really terrific. That's good. That's good.
Wait, what'd you think of the parade yesterday?
I didn't get to. I was in here the whole time.
Yeah.
we were able to watch a good couple minutes of it because it was on this side of the building, and it was impressive. It was democracy and freedom of speech in action. Yeah, regardless of how you feel about it, to me, I was just like, this is what it's all about. It's like being out there peaceably assembling.
Excellent.
So I've heard these stories before, but in case they haven't, let's go with the origins. How did you guys fall into these roles on The Walking Dead?
I wouldn't say fell in. I'd say, yeah. I auditioned for the show 3 times, and the last time was Aaron, and I wasn't even going to go on the audition initially because I'd given up acting like 6 weeks prior, and I was fully ready to move to New York and give it up. And my manager and my agents had to convince me to go to this, and I said, you know what? I don't want to move to New York with another rejection under my belt. I've had enough. I got $120,000 of credit card debt. Just kept getting worse, and I didn't want to go. And they convinced me to go, and I can honestly say it's the first audition that I didn't care what the outcome was. I was just going for the fun of it, and out of respect to the casting directors who had always seen us and been very supportive, and I didn't care if I got it or not, and that's, I think, part of the reason why I got it, honestly. Yeah.
Sometimes it's just like that,
It do be like that.
What would you have done if you gave it up?
Photography and writing, and I probably would have been even more broke, but, at least you can be in charge of your art when you're doing.
I was going to be an Olympic swimmer.
Yeah. You know who was an Olympic swimmer was Jason Statham. Before he became a big actor, he was an Olympic high diver. No joke. He missed the the finals to be on the Olympic team by a millimeter. It was he could have been an Olympic high diver, and we would have never gotten him snatch and all that. Look, stuck in 2 smoking barrels. You know what I mean? We would have never seen that if it hadn't been for his failed Olympic diving career. Crazy, right? There's footage of it. He had a lot more hair too. It's pretty wild. Yeah, it's great.
Which is so odd because that's a detriment in swimming sports.
Exactly. Yeah, but you should look up Jason Statham high diving. I'm sure it's on YouTube. Yeah. Yep. What was your?
What was the original question?
What was the audition and casting process like? Before that, though, I wanted to ask, when they brought you in 2 times before, did you have an idea what those characters were? Maybe after they had been cast, that's the part they had me read for.
The first one, no, I never found out what it was, but the second one I found out was Gareth, the leader of the cannibals, and I loved that role. I thought it was so amazing, but he got killed after 4 episodes.
Yeah, you got a better,
so,
you got a way better deal.
And Andrew J. West played the hell out of that role.
He's terrific.
He was wonderful. He was just psychotic, but in real life, he's the nicest guy I've met in years. But yeah, that was the rule.
Right on. So, and how'd this evolve for you?
How did it evolve for me? I had finished Southland a year or 2 before, and Scott Gimple was interested in having me do the role. I didn't know that at the time. They'd been bringing me in to audition, but Scott says that he had designs on casting me either way. I was actually doing jury duty that week in LA, and they were like, they want to see you for this show at the end of the week, and here's the material. And I looked at the material, it was a bunch of material, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be available at the end of the week, because every day you got to check in for jury duty to see if you're going to work. And by the end of the week, they may actually call me in, and I won't be able to make it. I don't know if they do the same thing out here, where you check in. But so I said, but I know that I'm not doing jury duty on Monday. I said, so if we can squeeze it in, that'd be great. So they wound up squeezing me in. I went in and I said, look, I'm not really familiar with the material because I haven't had it that long, but I want to audition, and then I can come back at the end of the week if I don't have jury duty and lay it down properly with you guys. And they're like, yeah, no problem. So I went in and did it and just really had fun with it because I wasn't off book. I didn't really have the material locked in. So again, what you were saying, just played around, had fun. And they were like, great. I said, okay, I come back at the end of the week. They go, no, we got enough. I said, ooh, okay. That's never a good
Thank
sign.
you.
Never a good sign. And then I got a call like at the end of the week that Scott wanted to have a meeting with me, and we sat down and chatted, and that ultimately led to me directing, because we talked about what I wanted to do in the future, and I said, well, had Southland gone another season, I would have directed on it, so I actually want to move into directing. I said, I know we've just met, you don't know me from a hole in the wall, but if we figure out that our storytelling sensibilities line up and we get along, then maybe that's something we can do down the road. And he said, sure, yeah, we can talk about that, absolutely. And I really never mentioned it again. And he brought it back up, and he's like, you still want to direct? I was like, yeah. He goes, great, we want to have you in next season. This is after I'd passed away on the show, so it all comes around. I mean, it doesn't always all come around. Like, sometimes it sucks, but this all came around, so it was good. And
was that your first episodic television directing gig?
Yeah, which is crazy, because it's like, what are our shows, $8-9 million an episode, and you 3, 4, 2, 600,000, $42.63. Yeah, you get somebody who, like, I obviously had a long career, been very fortunate in my acting, but I had never directed, and they're handing the reins to, a multi-million-dollar deal and going, there you go. So that took a lot of trust on their side, and I'm very grateful for Scott and Angela for trusting me and giving me that opportunity.
But I gotta say this real quick, because Cudlitz doesn't get enough credit for the directing he does. He came in more prepared than any director I've ever worked with, I would argue. And we would always finish a day early when he directed. Most of the time, I mean, that's unheard of. Most of the time you're finishing like 2 or 3 months after the fact. You're having to do second unit shots. You're having to, fill in stuff left and right. And he would always get us done early because he knew how to talk to the actors and the crew. Because you started in crew, right? And you do like construction.
I paid my way through school doing construction for film and television.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Wow. So, like, I just feel like he just had a shorthand with everybody and knew how to get what he needed. Not rush. It was never rushed, but it was just like, let's make sure we get what we need.
He spoke the language.
Exactly.
He spoke actor. He spoke crew.
Precisely. So, yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't pay me to say that either.
And
yeah.
And again, kudos. I mean, that's really intimidating, even though as an actor, you have been on that too, with dealing with effects and the makeup. A regular production, even a sitcom with 3, short, medium, long, is a challenge for a director, but you really got thrown in the deep end directorially.
Yeah, that's all I knew, though. 1 hour television. I don't know. I had a really amazing mentor when we were shooting Southland, Chris Chulak. He was our directing producer. He just directed all kinds of stuff. He won the Emmy for ER in directing. It's that episode where George Clooney, for those that are old enough to remember ER, George Clooney saves the kid when there's a flood, and there's this picture of him coming out of the water holding the kid. It had like 37 million people watch that episode. It's when when there were only 4 networks.
Yeah.
And you had limited choices, so people when the shows were good, they were watched. And Chris always told me, he said, trust the people around you to do their jobs. And I think that a lot of what Ross was talking about is like things take longer because a lot of people don't trust. A lot of people want to sort of strong arm it and no, it's got to be my way. And if Ross is my DP and he has plans and ideas for something and we've talked about it, if he says, hey, we're going to do this, I don't need to go, no, hang on a minute. Let me as a director tell you about photography when you're the photographer. It slows everything down. So if you trust the people, if you share your ideas, you prep well, everyone gets on the same page, and then you trust the people, you're just going to have better results because people are going to feel seen. They're going to feel like their work is important because it is, and everybody gets to work together as opposed to sort of bumper cars, working against each other.
You raise a good point about ER and the old days. Now we could call it that way too, because I've always said that Walking Dead and the original Game of Thrones were really the last of the water cooler at work shows, you know, before streaming really kind of dominated over.
Yeah. People say that, and then something else comes along. And I'm not,
White Lotus.
I'm not, yeah, like I agree with what you're saying because you go.
White Lotus is close.
I did a show called Beverly Hills 90210 when I was doing construction, and then I wound up doing like 12 episodes on the show, and I remember those guys getting chased like they were beetles, and I remember thinking, this is never going to happen again, and it didn't for years, and then you have like a show like ER comes around, and then you're like, this is never going to happen again. And then you have a show like Walking Dead. It's never going to happen. And then you have Game of Thrones. It's never, and then you have The Last of Us. So I feel like it's always like, we're like, oh, this is an anomaly. It's never going to, it does happen. And you have your White Lotuses and things that come up that people all fall in love with and start talking about, but they are absolutely rare. And the numbers are not what they used to be.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yes, we still have.
We're not
things that
having
are-
40 million people seeing it on the same night.
That's
We're having
what it
40
is.
million people seeing
And that's
it
why I
over
was-
the course of a month
And I always
and a
call it
half.
the Monday morning.
Yeah.
You just see it. Oh no, I had to take the game. I got it. I'll watch it when I get home or whatever. We've that erosion a little bit of everybody huddled on and having the parties and stuff like that has faded. It's still there.
Yeah.
It is still
Well,
there.
and they did a cool thing on with AMC where this really doesn't happen, where they were able to capture kind of what used to happen, because what they did was the show aired all around the world within 24 hours of itself, which typically a show will air in the States, and then 3 months later, 6 months later, a year and a half later, it'll air overseas. That's the normal sort of business model with the networks. What AMC did was they were able to, within 24 hours, everybody was seeing it at the same time, which created, I think, the sort of the phenomenon that it was, where everyone was experiencing it at the same time, because when you're sharing online in real time, you're all kind of experiencing it within a few hours of each other, and that changes, I think, how it's not only watched but experienced, that shared experience, that fan base, and the ability to sort of like feel like you're part of something bigger.
And if I had gone back and said, yeah, one of the big shows of the first quarter of the 21st century is a zombie apocalypse show, I was like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. Next you're going to be telling me who the president is. Ah, yeah. But here we are, you know, and whoever would have thought of it. But again, quality of writing, quality of acting, and just that ability to find the human story, regardless of the situation and how outlandish it could be considered at measure. For each of you, what was the most memorable day each of you had in the set? And for you, either as actor or director?
I mean, I think the Negan lineup was the most awful but most palpable day on set, because I think to this day that was the best work we've ever done from everybody. Because we were all committed to telling the story right, but we all knew how brutal it was going to be and how effective it was going to be. Even before it aired, I think we were all kind of looking around and just being like, Jesus, this is emotional torture for not just us, but it will be for the fans. And sure enough, it was. And I remember Andy, Rick Grimes, looked like a man possessed that entire shoot. I don't know if you remember what was happening with him, but you know, there's so many moments where Andy's bringing a lot of his personal life into the role, and when he's being asked to hack off Carl's arm,
I was terrified.
Terrified.
I'm watching Andy, because Andy gets so most lovable guy you'd ever want to meet, most in control. Never ever felt he was out of control or danger, but he was so intense that I literally was like, he might cut that kid's hand off. I'm nervous, actually. I'm a little concerned.
and he was howling. I mean, he would put in his earbuds and listen to whatever, I don't know what music he was listening to, probably Cannibal Corpse or Guar, but he would pace around like he had the earbuds in and he's walking around. He's like, no, God, no, oh God, like he's screaming and howling, and you're like, oh, okay, you know, he really went for it, and I think that kind of dedication to a role and to a moment, he sought the truth all the time. You know, and some actors, I'll be honest, like they go there, they're going there, they're going to say their lines, you know what they're going to do. It's kind of like a paycheck role for them or whatever. It was never that way with Andy.
Would you like wine with dinner?
Yeah, Andy was like a man possessed every time he came to set, and that was particularly moving for all of us, I think, just seeing everyone's work elevated because of him, you know. Yeah.
No, absolutely. How about you, sir?
Yeah, that day was amazing. Those few days. I had so much fun doing that show. I don't know what would be like the most memorable for me, other than that. Like the big action days with the walkers were always fun. Like the construction site where I got to go nuts and just kill a bunch of walkers. That was fun. Working with Josh was always fun. Yeah, I have a lot of great memories. Saying goodbye, the scene where we said goodbye to each other, that was particularly poignant for us because I was actually saying goodbye to my friend on set as well as in the show. So it was sort of art imitating life, life imitating art. In that moment, we were literally saying goodbye to each other because it was our last scene that we were going to ever have together. So that was particularly memorable and fun. But honestly, the people say, you know, what do you miss most about the show? And it's the people. It's always the people. Really, really wonderful group. We were all, you know, displaced in Georgia, except for 3 or 4 of us who were locals, or 3 or 4 of them that were locals. Everyone else was from out of town. So we were the family that we had. We sort of bonded and bound together, and you know, we hung out in our free time. We would always go to dinner. We were always there for each other. We were our family away from our family, and it's made some friendships that we will have forever. And we see each other, you know, 3 or 4 times a year, some more, at conventions and things. So that bond is still there, and that would be the big takeaway. Would be the people.
Nice. If either of you guys had one wish for your characters, what would it have been?
I would like to have lost my right arm as well, and then I'd have like 2 mace arms, and I'd just spin around like a top and just kill everything. That'd be awesome.
I wish that not only he lost both his arms, but both his legs as well, and then Abraham could have held him up and swung him around.
It's quite a sight.
Master Blaster.
2 men enter, 1 man leaves.
Master Blaster rules Bartertown.
Bartertown.
For those
Raggedy
of you,
Man.
Not shit, energy.
It's turned into a Thunderdome.
It's just Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Oh my God.
Half the people are laughing.
Yeah,
half the
like,
people are like, "What the fuck is he talking?"
Who here has seen Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome? Okay, yeah, like 5 people, 6 people. Okay.
No, we got a good amount. Good amount.
Come on, get out of here, Raggedy Man.
Tina Turner, man, those earrings. Yeah.
Yep.
I had the biggest crush on her when I was 6. When I watched that movie, I was like, she's the most beautiful woman ever. I want to be with her. Tina
is.
Turner. I know. Yeah.
You don't have to be 6 to feel that way.
I was like, okay, we're ready to make the X-Men movie now because there's Storm.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, all right, I'll jump out of there and take some questions. Before I do that, as always, gentlemen, I thank you both. I thank you for your talents. I thank you for your professionalism. And I thank you for the performances and the work you did in front and behind the cameras and your collective body of work. You both have just done such amazing stuff, and you brought so much entertainment to so many. And just thank you for being a part of so many wonderful projects. And as always, thank you for joining us here on weekends like this. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
You can applaud that,
Questions? You don't have to.
What's in the bag?
Candy.
Candy. He's the candy man.
Yes, If you ask a question, stay within the rules, you get a piece
First
of candy.
one's free.
Yeah. Actually, if you ask the first question, I'll give you 2. So who wants to meet me at the X? No, you gotta come over. Come over here. Come over here. Come over here, young man.
Come on, Georgie.
Come on.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. You can come on. All right, I'll give you both too. How's it going? Okay. Okay. Hey, what's your name?
Odin.
Odin. Okay. What do you want to know?
How did it feel playing in Walking Dead, like being an actor? How did it feel inside of it?
It was.
No, go ahead.
I think it was wild for me because I was a fan of it before I got on it. So I had just finished watching all of season 4, maybe 2 months before I got the audition for season 5. So when I got the part, a week after, it was on my birthday when I got the part, and then a week later I was in Atlanta. And it was such a weird thing because the first person I met was Rick Grimes. Then I met Abraham Ford and Eugene, and everyone was so lovely. But I was it was like stepping into a TV show that you like. So I don't know what shows you're into, but whatever your favorite show is, imagine just being transported inside of it, and now all of a sudden you're working with those people. It was pretty surreal. So yeah, that's what I would say.
And I liked it because a lot of the stuff I had done prior was very based in reality, and this was a comic book. So one of the things that all the comic characters had was you almost have this you're almost given superpowers if you're in the comic. You're given permission to do sort of comic book things. So even though you're grounded in reality, which makes everything work, you're just able to do ridiculous stuff. The highs can be higher, the lows can be lower, and it's accepted because it's a comic book. We believe that Denai has the 2 katanas, and he has the 1 arm, and the crossbow, all these things that are sort of ridiculous, but you're yeah, that's awesome, and you buy into it. And we get to do, Abraham Ford with the ridiculous mustache and hair and the apocalypse. You're seriously? Shut up. And you're okay. So it's just fun. It's just fun.
Good question. Thank you. Come on up, Jordy. Hey,
Ooh,
what's your name?
Good.
I'm Sarah. Hi. I would like to know about the bloodiest, messiest day on set you had.
Oh, God.
Oh, my.
No, I know what mine is. Mine's one of my first days. We had shot this 9 or 11 page scene with myself, Christian, Rosita, and Josh, Eugene, in the truck to open up I think it was was the show right after we picked up Steven? Or was the show before? Anyway, we had this huge scene with the 3 of us. So I call these guys up and I'm like, okay guys, we need to rehearse this scene. And they're rehearse the scene? I said, there's an 11-page scene with 3 characters that nobody knows. I go, this thing's getting cut. I go, what do you mean? I go, dude, I've done this a million times. Nobody knows about us yet. Nobody cares. You can't be funny. This is just an introduction to these characters. We're being cute with each other. I go, it's a really well-written scene, but unless it hums and just goes, it's getting cut. So we go through, we show up on, we rehearse, we go through it a bunch of times. We show up on set. Seath Mann's directing. He goes, all right, let's read the stuff. We go, boom, we nail through it. And they're like, holy shit. We should, the joke on set when you read through something and it goes really well is, oh, we should have shot it. We'd be home already. So we're thinking, yeah, this is great. So we do it. We go through everything. We shoot it. Scene comes, awesome. 3 weeks later, we're going to do some reshoots for the cold opening for the episode. Yeah, what's going on? Well, we're cutting the whole truck thing, and we're going to add, it's going to be Abraham Ford jumping out of the truck, and it's, oh, honey, you look like a mess, that whole thing. That was the replacement scene for the cold opening where I just destroy a bunch of walkers. When she comes walking up to me, the oh, honey, I hit her with my rifle, And Greg Nicotero says, okay, so these are exploding heads. It's basically a head that's filled with a balloon that is literally completely filled with blood. So when you do this, you got to follow through all the way, or sometimes they don't burst the right way. So you got to really, really go hard on this. I'm like, okay, I got it. Call action. I get to the truck. Oh, honey, you're a damn mess. Grab my rifle, turn it around. Boom! Hit this thing so hard, this thing explodes and literally carries me, like Carrie from the movie, not Carrie. Completely drenched in blood, soaked from head to toe. Greg looks at me, looks at the DP. He's like, "Do we got it? Is it all in focus? Great, cut. Okay, let's go home." And I'm left standing there, covered in blood, like I'd never been in my life, and like I never had since that day. And it's the nastiest. It's the end of the day. It's hot. It's sticky. You know, I'm in the tank top, just covered in blood, and Caro syrup, and just nasty. It just sucked.
Do you remember I think you were when Alexandria gets swarmed. You were there. Yeah, when Carl gets shot in the eye.
Oh yeah, that's when we come back with the
bazooka.
With the bazooka.
Yeah.
And hey pal, open the gate. Yeah. A little help here, buddy.
We'd been shooting all night, and I had to go to a wedding the next day.
Oh shit, I remember this. That's right.
A wedding in California. We were shooting in Georgia, and I was one of the best men. What do they call it? The groomsmen. Sorry, words. But I had to get my ass on a plane at 8 a.m. and we were shooting. We were doing like nights for that whole week, and I think we shot for 16 hours straight that night. It was insane. And Greg knew I had to get on a plane, but we had to get the shots, obviously. But we were just doused in blood. It was just when the walkers were like fully in Alexandria, we're all covered in blood, like just head to toe, like he's saying. Not quite as bad as what we had, but we're all just covered in blood. And finally around 7:15, 7:30, we did the last setup, and Greg's behind the video monitor looking to make sure we got everything he needed. And he's not even looking at me because he knows I'm like chomping at the bit to get out of there. And he just goes, "Go, go, go." And I ran as fast as I could. I'm taking off my clothes in the transpo van. Once I get to my trailer, I take off all my, the wardrobe, and then I put on my street clothes, and I drive very fast. I'm amazed I didn't get pulled over, honestly. The angels were watching over me that day. But I was going probably 100 down those like country roads to get to the airport. I parked my car. I ran as fast as I could. Actually, I got through TSA, no problem. They had no problem with the blood on my face, which was really disturbing looking back. But I get to the gate finally, and they're closing the door. And I go, "Oh, no, I gotta get on the plane." And words were failing. I was like, "I gotta get on the plane."
I just murdered everybody. I have to get out of here.
and these women are like, "Sir, please." And I was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, No, it's not my blood. And they're like, "Oh my God." I was like, No, it's not what I did. And finally, one of the women, she's like, "Sir, calm down. Wait, are you on The Walking Dead?" I'm like, yes, I am. And she's like, "Oh my God, can we get a picture?" I'm like, "If I give you a picture, will you let me on the plane?" She's like, "We shouldn't, but okay." And they let me on, and I'm the last person on the plane. They're about to take off, and I'm in a middle seat, and I'm just sweating profusely, blood just dripping on my face, and I find myself, I'm like, hey, sorry, that's me. And I sit down, and the people next to me are like, "Oh my God, this guy's gonna kill us." It was fun. That was probably the bloodiest and most insane I've ever been on the show. Yeah. Great.
Great one. Have two. That was a good one. Thank you. Hey, what's your name?
Sean.
Hi, Sean. What you got?
My question is, Michael, after knowing that you were going to be paying the price for Lucille, did you know somebody else was going to go during that scene?
Both Steven and I knew. We knew a year and a half before you guys saw it.
I didn't know that.
We knew 6 months before it maybe was going to happen, because it was going to maybe happen the end of season 6. It was either going to have the end of season 6, the beginning of season 7. They didn't know if it was going to be both of us the end of 6, both of us the beginning of 7, one either or end of 6, and the other one 7. So they had to figure that out, but we both knew we were going.
Hey, what's your name?
My name's Katie.
What you got?
Out of all of the tragic character deaths on The Walking Dead, which one was the hardest for each of you?
As a fan, it would it'd probably be Scott Wilson. The most disgusting was Noah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Noah in the turnstile glass.
The
Pushed up against the glass, and it was horrible. The thing with that was he was only on for, say, 5 episodes, I think. So everyone wasn't as in love with the character as we were with the other one. So I think that there's there's some sort of math equation that somebody could figure out is how much you love the character as to how brutal the death was. The more you love them, the more brutal you think the death was. So. But Herschel, yeah.
Yeah, Herschel. I mean, it was just turned into a human Pez dispenser. But sorry, he was. I mean, you saw the show, right? I mean, am I wrong? I mean, aside from
Tosses that out.
I mean, aside from Abraham and Glenn, because I do think to this day those were the most shocking and disturbing deaths on the show. Sasha for me was really rough. Because Sonequa was the first person I ever worked with on the show, she and Maggie, and she was, and to this day, the nicest, most humble, sweetest, wonderful person. And when she decided, as a character, to kill herself and pop out of the coffin and kill Negan, it was such a quiet resignation and a decision that she was making to do this. And we were all with her around Video Village, making sure she was supported that day. And she put in the earbuds and she was listening to music, and just the tears were real. I don't think she was acting, And we all started crying, and it was just a abundantly sad, slow death. And I think these deaths were shocking in their own way and just so brutal, but hers was like a quiet resignation, and I think that made it almost sadder for some reason, Yeah.
Which death affected you?
Herschel.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
There you go. Great question. Thank you.
Governor, son of a bitch. Yeah.
Hi, what's your name?
Tara. Is there anything that...
real quick. This is Tara, and guess what her daughter's name is? Alana. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
That's so wild. Alana Masterson played Tara on our show. It's just wild to me. That's crazy. Yeah. What are the odds?
I
That's
know.
weird. Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. Was there anything like super special that you took off the set or something?
Okay, hold, stop. I'm going to decline that question, and I'm going to replace it. Okay. Have you found yourself in possession of anything from the Walking Dead set?
I have, what do I have? I have the jacket with the fur collar, which is ridiculous, because what the hell do you do with that? Wearing my jacket out.
You live in California, so this
No, but it's just like this wool pea coat with this attached crazy fur thing. And I was able to take that because after we hit the listening station and murdered everybody for no good reason, because we're insane, I had one of the jackets, I was stabbed, and so that the jackets had a hole in them. So they had 2 jackets with a hole in them and 2 that didn't have a hole. So they gave me one that didn't, because I was able to take it with me afterwards. And then I have the dog tags, which is the bracelet. I have about 3 or 4 of those, because they just didn't need them, and they were fine. They were like, take them. And that's it. I mean, they're usually cool with like you generally, taking some stuff if you check with them. The worst thing that happens is they'll charge you for it. But if you let them know, like you're taking something and you're not stealing it, they just, they might not be happy you're taking it. But like if you let them know, you're not a thief. You're just someone who took something. Ross, I'm taking your things.
Yeah, I'm like,
what?
It's not so much thievery as liberating, I think. here's the thing.
This coming from a former Eagle Scout.
It was. How far I've fallen. They told us in no uncertain terms we were not allowed to take costumes or props.
See, because I left earlier because we were all going, hey, I'm taking this stuff. And in the end, they were like,
yeah,
whoa.
They really wanted to keep an eye on everything. And I was like, okay, I hear you. But stuff falls off of trucks all the time. It does. And this one box that was in the middle of the road happened to be all of my stuff. It was like my arm and my costumes. It was crazy. I was like, oh, it would be a sin to leave it in the middle of the road. So I took it. Yeah. I liberated it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. There you go. Thank you.
And I'm glad I did, because they auctioned
say
off
that
everything.
directly into camera 3.
But like they auctioned off everything, and they're doing another auction right now. I think the gentleman was telling me about it yesterday, but they're auctioning off the rest of my arms and Negan's bat, one of Negan's bats and one of Rick's pythons, and they're auctioning off everything. It's a fire sale. So it's Heritage Auctions, I think. They're doing it.
Yeah, they usually do that stuff.
Yeah. So check it out. If you want to buy some stuff, they got it up there. Actually, your stuff's up there too. They got some stuff. Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
If you want to buy some Abraham Ford sweaty.
I think we're good.
So we got a few minutes left, but we'll get through these 3. But I am going to close the line though. Hey, what's your name?
Tina.
What you got?
Hi. I'm kind of new to The Walking Dead, but I've watched it recently. I don't know if they're called whispers. When that scene happened on the hill, did you guys know it was going to happen, or was that like your real reactions to what was going on?
With the heads?
Yeah.
Oh.
I wasn't there, so I didn't react.
Yeah. I also was not there. I was in another part of Alexandria or something. But I luckily did not have to come and stumble upon that. But that was an awful scene. Awful. It's one of those moments like the Negan lineup where you're just like, good God, you didn't think that you could get as dark as we get on that show, and we just keep out-darking ourselves. It was pretty intense to watch. Yeah. But it was cool to see the animatronic heads moving and everything, because they really did make some animatronic. It was really pretty nuts seeing the heads up there. You know what I mean? It was pretty.
I do. So what was it like they cut the heads off, but the head still lives, so the head doesn't die unless you go through the spine? Like what's
I guess
through the brain.
They went through the back of the.
So if you just cut off the head or top, it still stays alive, right?
I guess so.
You gotta actually damage the brain to end it. So there you go. Well, there you go. Thank you.
All right.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Keisha, and I just wanted to say Season 5, Episode 11 is one of my favorite episodes of all time. It's the episode where your character is introduced, and Abraham says at one point, yeah, I'll walk with them. And I swear, every time I see it, I just like erupted, yeah, Abraham, go. And then your conversation with Rick and, convincing that you're there to recruit them. Like I said, it's one of my favorite episodes. And if you could just share anything about that, shooting that episode in the barn and what it was like, I would be so appreciative. You guys are good.
Thank you.
I'll say something short on it, and then I'll let you talk about it because it was your first day. I always personally loved when we all worked together. It was so rare when the whole group was together, so those were always really fun days because we just got to hang out with each other, including the Negan lineup. Again, we didn't spend time like that all together. If you remember back, the show at the time had about 22 series regulars, and it was very fractured so far as the storytelling, and you go off with 3 or 4 characters here or 2 or 3 here. We were very rarely all together. So those days that we were all together as a group, walking as a group or whatever, we were literally with each other for 3 or 4 days at a time on those days. And it was really nice to catch up with everybody. So I loved those days because I really enjoyed the company of the cast.
I was nervous as hell because even though I had done the previous episode where I come out of the woods and see Maggie and Sasha, I'm like, hey, I'm just a friend, That was such a short. I think we finished that in like an hour and a half. It was like at the end of the day, and it was such a quick little setup. So fast forward a few days after that, and they love to give the new characters pages and pages of dialogue. They did it for them, they did it for me, they did it for Negan, they did it for everybody new on the show. And when you're doing, I think it was almost 9 pages that I had to memorize that was mostly just, if not back and forth, mostly just monologuing and telling him about Alexandria and how great it is. I was sweating bullets because not only is it hot as hell in Georgia, and it was early September 2014, and brutally hot, but also they decided to put us all in insane amounts of layers and just 3 layers of clothing and wearing a parka which doesn't breathe, so you're just marinating in your own sweat. And plus I was nervous because you don't want to mess up your own favorite show, but everyone was so lovely and so accepting and just very supportive because it is a lot to have to be the new guy on set, and everyone, I gotta say, they were extremely welcoming and wonderful. And I think the thing that I remember most about that shoot was Andy punching me in the face because we did that I don't know how many times. I mean, probably 20 different setups from different angles. Lysandra?
I was thinking that wasn't Rosemary, was it?
No, it was Lysandra? Lysandra? Oh, I can't remember her name. Lysandra?
I don't know.
It was a Greek name, I think. Korandrikis, something like this. I don't know. Anyway, memory. But Andy comes up to me after hearing my whole story, and he's like, "Nope," and he punches me in the face. Every time it was fine, because as long as the movement's there and as long as you react in the right time, it'll look like a punch and it'll sell. But one time he came up with just a little bit too much momentum, and he got my nose, and I thought he broke it, because he's a strong dude. And it's the only time, more or less, that I've ever seen him really break character on set, because all the time he's Rick Grimes. But as soon as the take was done, he's like, "Oh, mate, I'm so sorry, you're all right?" And I was like, "No, you're British." I was like, I did. Get him! Yeah. But yeah, that was a fun little. I got punched by Rick Grimes. It was cool. Yeah.
Great question. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, what's your name?
Hi, my name's Jesse.
What you got, Jesse?
All right, who is the funniest person on cast?
Josh.
It's probably Josh or Steven.
Cooper's funny in his own way, but let's say Josh.
Cooper is funny. Cooper is, and I don't think I could say this with more love. Cooper is the most innocent, childlike. Again, I don't. This is I mean this in the best way. He is so pure of a soul. He's just a joy to be around, and this stuff is silly, and it's like it would be whatever the opposite of dad jokes are, like dad kid jokes, whatever, and so he's funny. He's just lovely to be around. But Steven and Josh both come from comedy backgrounds, and Josh is one of the driest, very, very funny. And Steven is just brilliant and quick.
One of my favorite moments from Josh was Greg Nicotero has directed more episodes of anyone on the show, and after working with Josh for a couple of years, he walked over to him. We were doing his setup, and Greg was like, "God, I just love watching you work. It's just really amazing seeing you bring the character to life. It just looks effortless." And Josh goes, "That's because I'm not putting in any effort." I was like, "Dude, that was the funniest thing I've ever heard." Made me laugh so much.
Oh, great one to close us out on.
It's because I didn't put any effort into it.
So, guys, what's on the docket? Any upcoming projects that you're allowed to share with us?
Wow.
Where was I the night of the 4th? I wasn't there, I promise. They're lying.
That's the NDA light.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Disney and Marvel's, yeah.
Right.
X-Men Season 2 probably coming out in the spring. Invincible Season 4 probably coming out in the spring as well. And then Pokemon Horizons, and then another thing that I definitely can't talk about. So, yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm doing something that I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about, so I won't.
That's fair.
But it may or may not be on CBS in January.
Okay. We will stay tuned.
Actually, it may be on. It will be on.
CBS, baby.
Yeah.
Nice.
on the Columbia Broadcasting Network. And one final question. Y'all want to take a picture with this wonderful audience?
Yes.
All right,
Yes, let's
folks,
do it.
why don't you come on up? We're going to take our stage selfie. This will be available for download at our Flickr account. If you have not signed up yet for our email newsletter, please do so. So when it does drop on Flickr, you'll be able to have the links and directly pull it from there.